friends, so welcome to another base game only starter home build. It's on a 15 by 20 lot in Newcrest. It's actually next to the other one I did last week. I think in that video I had said that it's in Willow Creek. Oops, it's not, it's in Newcrest. I was feeling pretty good about that first base game only starter home, so I wanted to do another one as I slowly edit the Desert Mansion video. This one's for like a book lover or like a librarian or a book collector type of person. It was actually inspired by this photo I'd come across on Instagram. I lost it, so I can't show y'all, but basically it was a mattress on the floor and it was next to this big old window and it was surrounded by bookshelves. And from what I could tell, there seemed to be a ladder going up to the loft where the bookshelves continued. So I thought it was perfect for this starter home. For a starter home, I spent an exorbitant amount of money on bookcases. Like it was more than 1,000 simoleons each. And in the end, I ended up stuffing like 4 into this little house. I think my starter home budget was something like 18,500. So it was like 4,000, probably closer to 5,000 simoleons on bookshelves alone. That's like 20% of my budget on bookshelves. But that probably makes sense. I too have spent a lot of money on books growing up. Okay, well, I spent a horrifying amount on textbooks during school, but not including that, I still spent a lot of money on books. I loved reading growing up. I would like to read for pleasure now that I'm done with school, but I think something about being a history major and doing all those readings every night kind of messed me up a little bit. But when I was a kid, I had a bunch of these warrior books. I don't know if they're still making them, but it was an incredibly long series about these cats that live on their own and they have like really intricate clan systems and belief systems. I probably have like 30 warrior books, and for books that I don't read anymore, I typically donate or like give them away to friends, but I have kept all of my warrior books because I'm way too fond of them to let them go. And when I was in university, and even now, I'll find friends who also love the warriors, and I've kept all of their copies. Oh, something I found really interesting that happened during the pandemic for me was like I reconnected with the Twilight series, like the one about vampires and werewolves. And when I was a kid, I was probably in like the 5th or 6th grade or something when I first started reading them, and I loved them. I probably read each book at least 5 times that year alone. But there was like, this deep shame around loving them for some reason, so I stopped. And like just before the pandemic, I was in school for museum studies. In class, we were doing that is not a word, case study, I meant to say. Cast study? What is that? Yeah, I was doing a case study of the most recent blockbuster exhibition at the Royal Ontario Museum. It was called Bloodsuckers, and it was about all things that suck blood, like mosquitoes and leeches, and they also talked about cultural stories about bloodsuckers, and of course, that included vampires. So there was this one section where they showed clips of popular vampire movies, like Dracula and Hotel Transylvania, I think was one. But notably, they didn't show Twilight, which was wild, given the effect Twilight had on society, like especially on shaping many kids' childhoods in the late 2010s. Like it was weird that it wasn't up there. Now, I wasn't in class when the curators of Bloodsuckers came in, but from what I heard, the curators intentionally chose not to include Twilight because of the shame around it being kind of like cringy and whatever. But yeah, but as one of my friends pointed out, if the series wasn't targeted at girls, the cringiness of like the movies and books would have made the series like a cult classic. But yeah, that exhibition got it going, and we started talking and joking about Twilight a bunch, and we started like having Twilight marathon watch parties, and I wasn't even just like experiencing it with just my classmates, like at work. my coworkers were also having Twilight watch parties. I think that's one of the last things we did together before we shut down and had to work remotely. I don't know, and I think this might have been like instigated or driven by a lot of like the TikTok memes of Twilight, or maybe the other way around. But yeah, I thought that was really cool because for me it was like a full circle moment, especially when everything like during the pandemic felt really disconnected. But I was also like reconnecting with like a childhood love of mine that I had abandoned. Is this growth? I do use a lot of debug in this build, but I was thinking, your Sims deserve a nice house, even if they don't have the money to pay for it. So I hope you enjoyed watching this really quick build. If you'd like to see more, let me know by subscribing and liking this video. And if you'd like to download this build from the gallery, my origin ID is BuildsWithCoffee. That's BuildsWithCoffee, all lowercase, no spaces. Bye!